This video is not just for beginner leather workers, this is for anyone who wants to cut leather, whether it's for one project, whether it's for a career in leathercraft. It doesn't matter either way, this video is for everyone that wants to know how to cut leather. Cutting leather is probably the first hurdle you'll come across, because obviously you've been out, you've bought your leather, this phenomenal material that we all know and love, and you've got a design in mind, you've got a pattern in mind that you want to cut and you want to turn into a beautiful object. How do you do it? How do you start? How do you do leathercraft? How do you cut leather? So we're going to go over it today in 3 simple steps. Hey friends, it's Will and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to go over it today in 3 simple steps. Number 1 is how to hold your knife and your ruler. Really important not to forget your ruler. Number 2 is always do multiple cuts. And number 3 is cut against the ruler, not into it, and I'll tell you exactly what that means in just a moment. So let's get started and I'll teach you exactly how to cut leather. So the first step in how to cut leather is how do you hold your knife. It might seem simple, and it is when you know how to do it. Everything is simple when you know how to do it. So how do you hold your knife? When you're holding your blade, I'll get a blade. Don't worry, I'm not going to poke myself. When you hold your blade, how do you do it? Well, the angle you hold it against the leather is so important, because it's not just the cut that you're dictating, it's also every step after it. So if you hold your knife perpendicular to the leather, so it's straight up and down, not angling it, you will get the best cut. And therefore you will get the best edge. I have seen so many people cut their project, send me photos and be like, what am I doing wrong? Well, you're not cutting your leather at the very first step in the best way possible. Because when you're sticking that leather together, and I've done a whole video on how to glue leather, please go and check that out. In the description box below, it'll be in the, I'm going to freak someone out if I keep waving that around. It'll be in the description box below, and it will be in the cards up here somewhere. Don't know exactly where it is. It's up there somewhere. And that will teach you everything you need to know about about gluing leather together. But before you glue it, you have to cut it. And when you're going to be gluing your 2 pieces together, this is really important, because either you'll get a peak or you'll get a trough between the 2 pieces of leather. Or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it is that you're doing. You want it to be completely flat on that edge. This is the edge. You want it to be completely flat on the top. And the only way to do that is to cut straight down. And you do that by holding your knife at a perpendicular angle to the leather. If you tilt it inside or outside, you will get a chamfer or chamfer, depending on where in the word you are, either way. Yes, I am waving it around. This will freak people out. This blade is actually dull. I told it before the video. You will get a chamfer either way, depending on which way you hold your blade. And this doesn't matter if it's a single bevel or a double bevel blade. You will still get a chamfer depending on what angle you hold your knife. But how do you hold your ruler? Because obviously you have 2 things when you're cutting leather. You have your blade and you have your ruler. You want to do something called crabbing. So what crabbing is leather is a soft material. If you're used to cutting paper or card or whatever it is that you're used to cutting within your particular craft, leather is, or in your day-to-day world, leather is a soft material and it moves. So you want to crab, and yes, I am doing the motion with my hand. You want to crab your hand along the ruler, putting downward pressure into the ruler, because it will stop your leather from moving. If you don't do this, if you put your ruler down and you just pull along, by the time you get over here, your leather will have moved. You will have, and then you'll lift it up, you'll lift the ruler up, and you'll have this beautiful curve to it, but that's obviously not what we want. We want a straight line, if we want a straight line, that is. If you're cutting a curve, you don't use a ruler, but you still want to keep your blade completely perpendicular to the leather. So obviously you will be cutting curves within leather. You can cut curves within leather, but you always want to keep that blade at a 90-degree angle when you're pulling. If you're enjoying the content I'm doing, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, the like and the comment, and leave a comment down below letting me know. It makes so much difference to the channel, and I cannot keep making these videos if you guys don't subscribe. I know you're loving it because I can see in the analytics that you are absolutely loving the channel. So if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and we can carry on with the video. The second thing we're going to do, even though I'm a firm believer in a sharp knife is a safe knife, and that is completely and utterly true. A sharp knife is a safe knife because you make less mistakes with a sharp. Even though that is the case, you never want to try and cut through leather in one go if it's over 1 millimeter thick. If it's under 1 millimeter thick, you're probably going to go through it in one go if it's a nice sharp knife. If it's over 1 millimeter thick, even if you could get it through in one, if you put enough pressure down, don't try it. Because if you slip either way, either you'll slip into your pattern and you'll ruin that piece of leather, or you will slip out of your pattern into the rest of the leather and ruin the side or the butt or whatever it is that you're cutting. So always pull once and then go down again the same way until you get to until you've got all the way through the leather, because it will avoid so many mishaps and problems. You don't have to go quickly. Leather is not an extreme sport. Leather is not a competition of who can cut it the fastest. It's a chilled activity. Take your time, cut through it slowly, because then you won't regret it later. And our third point, cut against the ruler, not into it. What do I mean by that? You might think that when you're pulling your blade along, you are tilting it into... Let me get a ruler and I'll show you. You have your ruler. You may think you want to angle your blade into it so that you skate down the side. You don't. That'll go badly for a couple of reasons. What you want to do is you want to put it against the ruler, obviously put still a tilt into it, but only enough that the edges here is dull again. The edges here, the side of the blade, the belly of the blade is not sharp, and you want that to be pushing against the ruler. You can see how easily that skates, as opposed to if I push it, it won't move. This is a metal sided ruler, so don't worry, but it won't move. If you tilt it enough against it, you've got the belly going down the side and not the actual blade. If you are cutting against a metal ruler, which I do not suggest, I suggest cutting against a plastic ruler. It will damage your leather more. A plastic ruler will damage your leather less. Cutting against a metal ruler, this is more of a factor than cutting against a plastic ruler. If you cut it with your blade into the edge of that ruler, yes, you will still get a straight cut, but you will dull your knife so incredibly quickly because you're cutting into something harder than the blade, probably. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I super enjoyed making it for you. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on Friday. Have a fantastic week. Take care.